Minecraft servers have gone through a lot of evolution over the years. Starting out as HMod, moving on to Bukkit, Spigot, and now PaperMC, the online history of server software is very complex and in-depth. That's why I created this channel, to document the events that are almost forgotten now by old players or just unknown by the new generation of players. So I compiled the first 4 episodes of my series diving into what happened together into one video. So you don't have to skip around in the playlist in order to find the next episode. Also, a lot of my newer subscribers know me more as the guy who does malware coverage. And I wanted to give him a quick crash course in what this channel actually strives to be. So if you're new here and like in-depth history and lore, you're on the right address. Oh, and stick around for a very special upload on Saturday. But for now, enjoy this extra long episode of Minecraft goodness. Oh, and one more thing, before we get started, as these were very early videos, the quality might change a little bit depending on the video, but nothing major. And if you have any more suggestions for topics in the future, when this video goes live, I'll be in my Discord linked below to answer all your questions and receive feedback. So jump on in if you have the time. In July of 2014, Mojang made the decision to change their Eula to stop pay-to-win servers from getting out of hand. They could not have possibly foreseen the absolute uproar this would have caused, with players and servers like Hypixel and Mineplex arguing this would absolutely destroy the very active and flourishing online community. Nowadays, this decision is looked back upon with somewhat of a distrustful look towards Mojang and resentment by those who were active in the community at the time, as this was the main reason why the scandal surrounding Bukkit even got public attention. And in this video, I will be taking a deep dive into what happened as we go through this major turning point in Minecraft's online future. So, as always, the first thing you ask yourself is why? Why did Mojang change its Eula? Well, in 2013, if you owned a Minecraft server, chances are you relied heavily on donations to keep your server going. Hosting servers isn't cheap, and buying hardware isn't cheap either. While donations were accepted by the community, a trend became noticeable where server owners were no longer content with just getting by. They would allow players to pay for certain perks and benefits in-game. Some servers would have stores that would allow players to gain access to creative flight and survival servers, get more EXP minigames, or straight up give them unbreakable tools with efficiency beyond the stars. Nowadays, we would call this predatory, and I think even EA would think it's a little bit much. And it is illegal in most countries, but back in the day, this was causing some issues for Mojang, who kept getting reports of children paying with their mom's credit card for in-game benefits only for that server to be shut down and the owner running away with the money. So in 2014, Mojang updated its Eula to prohibit server owners from making any money from Minecraft servers without the express permission from Mojang. While this was very effective in the beginning, it also had its side effects. Mainly, servers at the time like Mineplex, Hypixel, and The Hive, who were reliant at the time for donations to keep up with their server costs, suddenly were left with no income to support the millions of players on their platform. And with server costs, for Hypixel alone, being around the $3,000 mark, they expressed their concerns publicly, and they pointed out something that a lot of people already viewed with a lot of suspect. In 2013, Mojang released Realms, a subscription-based service that allowed Minecraft players to rent a server for themselves and their friends directly from Mojang itself. But there was a catch. No plugin support, no mods, not a single bit of customizability except for custom levels. In fact, you don't have access to any back end. You just booted up Minecraft, click the Realms tab, and invite your friends. Well, this was very easy to set up. It costed $7 a month, and it was very limited. While hosting a Bukkit server for yourself was free and you had access to plugins, the only thing was that it required a little bit of technical experience. Many server owners were already very wary of this, as it looked like Mojang wanted to put them out of a job. Then a month later, they dropped this Eula, restricting the main source of income, and this was the big spark that would ignite the community into a civil war. This was the final straw for many server owners who, up until this point, kept it all to themselves, but now they raced to Twitter to start the #SaveMinecraft tag and get it trending, exposing the issue to over 500,000 people. Mojang had to take notice, and in a rare case of Twitter actually doing something good, the tag actually worked. After months of debate, Bukkit shutting down and mounting pressure from the community, Mojang relaxed its Eula so it would allow donations to server owners under the pretense that all players should get the same experience, meaning no in-game benefits, no special worlds behind the paywall, and absolutely no pay-to-win features. With Notch himself stating in an interview, before you couldn't charge for anything in the game, but we've changed that to allow for charging of purely cosmetic items. While this may seem very sympathetic from them, Notch also stated, "I feel bad for the people who made a business out of this though." While many on the anti-Eula side were still a bit upset, it was enough to stop the outrage, and people started working on actual solutions to comply with Mojang's new rules. Though it seemed some relationships were broken beyond repair, and the online community was shattered and frustrated. As the days became months, the ramifications of what some had seen as Mojang's reckless behavior became clearer, with the biggest server API getting DMCA'd by its own coders as a way to stop what they saw as Mojang's unethical behavior. And while that is a story in and of itself, this is what many see as the beginning of modern era online Minecraft. With Bukkit gone, a new challenger took its spot, launching the multiplayer community into new heights. But where are we now? The Eula changed once more in 2022 to a much more positive reception, but pay-to-win servers are still here, and they're not being shut down at all. Currently, there are hours and hours of footage of pay-to-win servers getting shut down by community members, sick and tired of this practice, and they're not getting shut down by Mojang itself. And to make things worse, in 1.19.1, Microsoft added the report feature that already has been shown to be used by Mojang for its own use. So in the end, did Mojang's changes do anything? I'll let you decide that in the comments. This is a story about how Minecraft's biggest server API was betrayed and shut down by the company whose online community they helped create. From thousands of servers and millions of players to zero in less than a week, the story of Bukkit is a sad one, and many people point to this moment as the end of an era. So allow me to take a few moments of your time to share the story of its downfall. So, what was Bukkit? Well, Bukkit was an open source Minecraft server. While it was not the first software created to host Minecraft players, it was the first organized project in its history. It being open source, the Bukkit team accepted code contributions for the first year of its creation. Over time, more Bukkit servers were used than official servers put out by Mojang, for one simple reason: plugins. Bukkit provided a foundation for developers to create plugins, and it was on this foundation that popular plugins like World Edit, World Guard, and of course Essentials were born. In addition to that, Bukkit allowed for some basic performance tweaks. These factors combined made Bukkit immensely popular by server hosts and Minecraft enthusiasts alike. With at its peak, more than 100,000 servers using the software. This success did not go unnoticed by Mojang, who at Minecon 2011 set up a meeting with the Bukkit team to discuss the big problem looming over the project. At the Minecon meeting, one big issue was at the center: Mojang's own code. See, while Bukkit was open source, in order to actually function, it reverse engineered some code from the game itself to build its server and API. This reverse engineered code is the problem, as that was Mojang's copyrighted material. While they liked what the Bukkit team was doing, Mojang did not like the way they were doing it, so they proposed a solution. Mojang would buy the Bukkit project and allow its code to be used. The team behind the project felt like they had no other option and accepted, with 4 people going to work for Mojang, improving its own server software, and only Evil Seth remaining at Bukkit as its spearhead. Things went well for many years, with the majority of players being unaware that they were sitting on a ticking time bomb. While Bukkit was still open source, being reiterated upon for years, many people either forgot or straight up didn't know Bukkit was owned by Mojang. Then in 2014, the big bomb dropped. Mojang changed its Eula. Now, I already made a video going over the specifics of what and why the Eula was changed and its side effects. You can watch it here right now. But the TLDR is, Mojang changed it so you could no longer make money from servers, pushing the whole online community into a death spiral, as servers could no longer pay for the actual hardware to stay afloat. The future looked bleak for the online community, with tensions running high. On August the 21st, the unexpected happened. Evil Seth, the Bukkit lead who stayed with the project, announced Bukkit would shut down indefinitely. But an hour later, the true bombshell hit. After the shocking announcement of Bukkit's demise, Jeb, the lead dev at Minecraft, and a shocking lookalike of me, snapped back in a tweet saying, Warren over at Bukkit seems to have forgotten that the project was bought by Mojang over 2 years ago and it isn't his to discontinue. This came as a major shock for everyone involved as it was revealed that the Bukkit people hired by Mojang had given up their personal rights to their open source contributions when they signed their contract with Mojang, exposing Bukkit to be a sham project. What people assumed to be a community-driven project to better the player's experience turned out to be owned by a multi-million-dollar company whose only contribution was that they allowed their code to be used. This revelation did not sit well with one specific member of the Bukkit team, who after finding out his years of volunteering work was all for one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, essentially working for them for free, they filed a DMCA takedown request on all of their personal contributions to the Bukkit project. With over 15,000 lines of code needing to be removed, the Bukkit team just decided to take down the entire server's software as a whole, and in a few hours, all the source code, roughly 3 times more than Mojang's own server software, disappeared from the internet. Sadly, this decision was not without its side effects, as this was not only the end of Bukkit, but the end of an entire community. This included other projects like Spigot, a fork of Bukkit, who had to work around the DMCA request in order to stay functional. The biggest shock came not from the players or the contributors though, but rather it came from the people who made Bukkit popular, the plugin community. As many of the people who made popular plugins were only 20 years old or even in their teens, they did not understand what this meant for their creations. Many feared they would have to remove their years of hard work and dedication, and for many of them, this was the end of their plugin coding life. Quitting development entirely out of fear it was all for nothing, as many felt the spirit of open source died that day. After the dust had settled, many people began arguing who was at fault here. Mojang were in their right not to allow Bukkit to be shut down, as it bought the project and allowed its own code to be used in their software. But on the other hand, the people who made Bukkit felt betrayed. Many of these people did not start their journey with Bukkit to earn money or become famous. They did it out of the love for Minecraft. They wanted to turn around this already masterpiece of a game and make it an even better experience online by making it more accessible and easier to set up, and enable the ability to customize your server to the point that it was your server, while you added the genes to make your server unique. Bukkit was a DNA backbone that allowed it to happen. But after all has been said, I don't think there was a good or bad here, as this wasn't a black and white situation. Instead, this was a situation where people blinded by passion for the project and the game they loved were misused by a company with poor communication. As the lights turned black on the remainder of Bukkit's community, there was hope. Spigot came out of the debacle on top as the new de facto server API. Being a fork of Bukkit, plugin developers could easily switch to Spigot and began developing new and even more powerful plugins on the improved software. And while this was a dark time for the Minecraft community, the future looked bright. Although sadly, that would not remain the case for long. In 2012, Minecraft was dying. Mojang's policies had brought giants to its knees, destroyed communities, and on top of it all, the biggest name in hosting, Bukkit, shut down. And with it went the spirit of open source. During these times, one name came out on top, SpigotMC, promising faster and more powerful software. It's no wonder it took over the online community by storm. However, Spigot was still based on Bukkit, meaning it also used Minecraft server code, right? Well, join me today to find out how Spigot and its team managed to save Minecraft from its lowest moments, and how eventually it lost the crown to a newcomer. This is a story of SpigotMC. In order to understand Spigot, we first need to talk about another project, Spoutcraft. Spoutcraft was a plugin and API allowing other plugins to run on it. While Bukkit was using modified Minecraft server code, Spout was running on top of the server, meaning it was essentially a middleman between the software and the plugins. Spout itself did not do anything except for smoothing for teleportation. However, there were a few things it enabled and pioneered, such as inventory GUIs, particle effects, fly speed, and a whole bunch of other stuff we take for granted today. In many ways, Spout was the grandfather for modern Minecraft. It is on this project that in November of 2012, a user called MD5 announced in a thread on the Spout forums they were going to start their own project called SpigotMC. Based upon the core foundation of Spout, Spigot would work on top of the Minecraft code rather than Bukkit's approach of reverse engineering it, while enabling the same features than Spout, but with a focus on performance and a way more easier to use API. With the launch of the Spigot forums not long after, they saw a small but dedicated fan base growing. The biggest boost to its popularity, however, was its resource manager. While Bukkit had its own plugin manager, in the beginning, not all Bukkit plugins ran natively on Spigot, so in order to make it easier for Spigot users to find plugins that actually worked on their servers, they made an index list of all plugins compatible with the Spigot software. And a month later, in order to help with development, they opened up for donations, with The Hive being the big benefactor for the project. Other big servers took notice to the point that 8% of all Minecraft servers and 28% of all players were on Spigot software, while at the time that was nothing compared to the dominance of Bukkit. The introduction of paid plugins made developers actually prefer to build on Spigot rather than Bukkit, as it offered so much more under the hood. Many staple plugins found its start at the Spigot forums. With more and more plugins on the website, the fanbase grew even more. Then, in June of 2013, MD5 and the guys at Spigot released an absolute game changer, Bungee Cord. A Minecraft proxy allowing multiple servers to be strung across a single network. I won't explain in detail what a proxy is, but some context is needed in order to understand how big this was. A proxy, at its simplest, is a server directory, allowing you to change from a lobby to a survival, skyblock, or minigame server. While proxies are nothing new, this was the first one that was easy to set up and maintain. With it being embedded into Spigot's code, supporting it natively, it was fast, efficient, and allowed big servers to expand their already big networks into gigantic proportions. Bungee Cord was the final push the project needed in order to win over the Bukkit diehards, although as we know, it did not need to compete for very long, as Bukkit was not long for this world. Since this is the third video in the series, I won't dive too deep into Bukkit's downfall, or why the Eula almost brought down the entire online community. If you want to watch those videos, there's a card to click on right now. Hint, you can click with the middle mouse wheel to open it in a different tab to watch later. You're welcome. But a long story short, Mojang restricted its server owners from making any money from its servers, and this caused the project lead over at Bukkit to shut down the entire software, while Mojang revealed it had bought the project 2 years ago, resulting in a DMCA takedown request from one of the Bukkit developers, causing 150,000 lines of code to be removed. In the video about Bukkit's shutdown, I mentioned Spigot was also affected by this, as it was a fork of Bukkit, meaning it shared some code base. The DMCA also affected them, so why did they not get taken down? Well, for a short amount of time, it was. Although MD5 found a way around the DMCA request by not bundling Mojang's code with their software. They used something called build tools. This software, when run, would download a copy of the Minecraft server, decompile it locally, the Spigot code would then insert itself into the Minecraft code, patching it and modifying it until it was a Spigot jar. Essentially, they were building the server from scratch on your computer. Since it was the user executing these commands, Spigot could not be held accountable for this, allowing them to essentially skirt around the DMCA request and Mojang's lawyers, with a promise to update the Spigot software to the new Minecraft 1.8. 1 month later, after Bukkit's demise, many cling to Spigot as the new kings of online Minecraft. And during Minecraft's darkest days, it managed to shine a ray of hope towards the future. While these days, PaperMC is the more popular option, being a fork of Spigot, PaperMC supports all plugins from Spigot itself, meaning you can still download Paper plugins on the Spigot forum. Though this is about to change, as Paper just announced Hangar, which is basically its own resource manager, complete with its own forum, UI, and payment integration. With Minecraft performance getting worse with every update, Paper wears the crown Spigot used to have, as it can't compete with the absolute performance boost it brings to servers. With Folia on the horizon, promising a whole new way of coding and hosting, Spigot days may be numbered. It's clear from my previous video, you guys are done with Minecraft drama. And so am I. You know why? Because you, me, we're historians. We are writing down something no one ever has. We are no longer bound by Mojang's incompetence. We are documenting and preserving history here. We are launching a new genre of YouTube. So come on, my comrades, let us talk about the history of the biggest Minecraft server in history, PaperMC.
Luna,
What?
Mojang's getting ratioed on Twitter
Oh,
again.
for fuck! If you ever started your own Minecraft server, you probably search how to make a Minecraft server on YouTube. Doing so will net you approximately 20 billion videos telling you to download something known as PaperMC. And if you are subscribed, you're cool. You also know why PaperMC is widely known as the king of Minecraft. But why is that? How did they take the ground from Spigot that I mentioned in my previous video in the series? Well, join me today by clicking that little red button down there to subscribe and dive in with me as we go into this modern history lesson. In the beginning, there was Bukkit. Now we all know what happened to Bukkit. It died for reasons we can't get into here, but the important thing here is it left a void for server software to take its place. Mainly, the battle was between Spigot, made by MT5, and Sponge powered, led by a bunch of big names in the plugin community, and Spout of course. While Sponge had its issues finding its place right after the death of Bukkit, Spigot already had a few jars available to the public, so the popularity contest was won by the Spigot team, mainly because Sponge didn't support Bukkit plugins. And this was for good reason, as both Spigot and Sponge started out doing one thing: optimization. See, Bukkit's API was rudimentary and unoptimized, making it absolutely tank Minecraft performance. Its implementation became an issue when servers wanted to go from 10 to 20 peoples online to hundreds and even thousands of peoples online. Hence, projects like Bukkit++ and Spigot were born. But in 2014, Spigot seemed to be more interested in providing support for plugin developers, which is also a good thing, but not the main goal that they started out doing. So two people, Z750 and G-Sand, who both sound like a shady laptop brand, started a little known project called PaperMC with the goal of going back to its roots of performance enhancing additions. But some of you might be wondering, what is paper? Well, paper is a thin sheet of wood pulp, often white in appearance, used in white, what? Oh, sorry, wrong script. PaperMC was born with one goal in mind: performance, as they felt Spigot wasn't really going anywhere. And worse, the Spigot team doesn't allow others to contribute to its code, so they started with their own fully open source thing. From the 23rd of June, immediately gaining the attention of the wider Minecraft community. What set Paper apart from its other counterparts was its dedication of being a lightweight and powerful solution. It achieved this by trying something a lot of the Spigot team thought impossible: async lighting, and at the time, async chunk loading. This might seem like alien speak to you, so let me explain what I mean. Async, or asynchronous compute, is essentially a way for computers to use its resources more effectively. For instance, like I said in my other videos, everything in Minecraft is running on one main thread or the main task. When this task gets overwhelmed, the server lags. This is also what we mean when we say the server has TPS lag, as Minecraft runs these instructions on the main task at a baseline of 20 times per second or 20 ticks per second. To explain this easier, imagine one person building a giant wall. He needs to get cement, get his tools, get bricks, and get the plans in order to build that wall efficiently. If too much bricks come in at once, our builder can only do one brick at a time, at a rate of 20 times per second. So it becomes a big pile of unused bricks and tasks. This in turn delays the brick building. This is where async can help a lot. Let's take our builder from before again. Now he has a little helper called Steve. Say hi, Steve. While our builder is doing the bricklaying, Steve will help get the cement for him and his tools. So he has more time actually laying the bricks, completing the entire wall faster than he could have done alone. This is what PaperMC does so well. By letting the lighting engine calculate its angles off the main thread, it massively increases efficiency. And although it's been removed, the async chunk loading at the time was revolutionary. Letting the server load and unload that information without checking in with the server can be dangerous, but it was a big selling point, as plugins like Chunky could take advantage of this async loading to speed up terrain generation to a massive degree. They save and load player data off the main thread as well, saving a lot of resources by not letting the server load your inventory every time you open your inventory. As the years continued, Paper added more and more improvements to its software, and also patching a lot of bugs that still exist in the vanilla game. or redoing the way the server handles redstone to stop lag machines and again improve performance. And with Spigot often lagging behind in the update department, as Paper is completely open source, it's no wonder that it overtook Spigot as the #1 software in use today. With 57.2% of all Minecraft servers using its software, with Spigot coming into second place with 24.7%, this means you likely played on a Paper server without even knowing it. I think now you can see the full picture, right? The reason why Spigot lost its dominance wasn't because it was bad, but it was too close-minded. After all, after Bukkit's downfall, a lot of devs had a bad taste in their mouth for projects that were this closed off, as that in part caused Bukkit to shut down. Paper barged into the room, guns blazing, with a revolutionary new way to not only improve on the server, but empowering networks to grow to their big proportions. If you think about it, these changes and new methods were thought impossible by the Spigot team, but yet the Paper team did it. With its popularity guaranteed, what's next for Paper? Recently, they released a new resource manager called Hangar. And there is also this tiny little other thing that might blow your mind. Because how do you follow up on a revolution? Simple. Start another one. As the Russians, they know what I'm talking about. So what is this next evolution or revolution? Simple. Regionalized Minecraft servers. Let me take a step back. On the 23rd of March this year, PaperMC announced Folia, a radical new way of hosting Minecraft servers, not by running some aspects of the Minecraft code asynchronous, as that can go very wrong very quickly. No, they were going to go big. They decided to go the extra step and rewrite how Minecraft even functions. Basically, take a Minecraft map. Now imagine that it has cubes 16 by 16 wide. We call these chunks. A normal Minecraft server software would just lump all these cubes or chunks together and run everything that happens on the same thread or worker, the same single worker we had in our brick building example. Folia takes a bunch of these chunks, put them in a group and give them their own task or worker. So instead of running the entire map on one brick builder, it essentially makes another helper Steve for every group building a part of the wall. And the really cool thing is, let's say someone is making a lag machine in region 5. Only that region will be affected. All other regions will still run at 20 TPS, no problem. Of course, this is still its downsides. As of right now, you still need 16 cores to even run Folia. And oh yeah, it's still in development. And not to mention, it breaks nearly every Bukkit plugin, as it does the entire API differently, meaning if the plugin isn't coded for Folia specifically, it doesn't run. That being said though, I think the future looks bright for the Paper project. Not content by just sitting around on their ass, they are actually keeping the innovation going. Even if Mojang seems to have given up on Minecraft's performance, Paper hasn't. And with Sponge's API also getting better with every update, and Folia getting closer with every update as well, the future of Minecraft looks bright, and we might have a second golden age of Minecraft server software. And that, my friends, is the history of Minecraft Online.
And that, my friends, was the end of the timeline, as we covered the original Eula change, Bukkit, Spigot, and even Paper and its future. I think we can leave it at that for now. But don't worry, as more videos like these are in the works. When I started this channel, I wanted to hit 100 views on my first video. I even called my best friend about it, and he joked that I would never get it. But the support was so immense that I started to take this more seriously. And now we grew from a small gaming community channel with 140 subscribers to almost 4,000 of you tuning in every time to watch me rant about the silly block game. To say it's a life changer for me is an understatement. Being able to interview people I regard as living legends and having people recognize me in server software discords is an incredible feeling. So I'd like to thank you all, from the first person to ever click that subscriber button to the last person to do so as this video ends. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful. I'd also like to thank my lovely patrons for being crazy enough to pay me money so I can do what I love. But I'll get into those credits soon. But like I said, we're only getting started. So stay tuned for Saturday. But for now, I was Lunar. You were very awesome. And I'll see you in the next one. As always, I'd like to thank my many Pebbles on Patreon for supporting my videos. I'd also like to thank Comet, Jens, Rebecca, Sneesonics and Willox for their pledge on the Boulder tier. And a mountainous, massive thank you to Hans, Kikiso and Milhouse to pledging on me with the Mountain tier. You guys mean a lot to me and keep me on my feet. If you like what I do and want full access to all the interviews I performed in other videos, feel free to pledge on Patreon. Full access only starts at $1 USD and it helps me so much. Thanks again, lads.